Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about specifically the head-on collision that is about to happen between Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and Magic the Gathering, the collectible card game that came out in 1993. You're a Dungeons & Dragons fan. I get that, and you're like, Scott, I don't really play Magic Gathering. It doesn't matter that much to me. It should. It matters a lot to you. So here's the thing. Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition are about to have a massive collision, okay? Head-on collision, right? Now, neither brand is going to come out of this unchanged. One brand is going to change the other, or both brands are going to change the other. And the only question is if this is going to be a good change or a bad change, right? So let's talk this through. This is going to get pretty interesting, right? So first of all, why does this matter? Well, I'll tell you one thing. First of all, if you're a Dungeons & Dragons player and you're like, oh, Magic the Gathering doesn't matter to me, you're flat out wrong, right? One, you need to understand this. Even if you don't care a thing about Magic the Gathering, and Magic the Gathering is not your jam, Dungeons & Dragons is already massively impacted by Magic the Gathering. Now, here's why. Money. So you got Wizards of the Coast, right? They're there. They got their thing going, right? They're working hard on so Wizards of the Coast is doing their thing, right? And they own Magic the Gathering and they own Dungeons and Dragons. And frankly, they don't own anything else. They used to have, they had some other weird games like Kaijudo. At one point, I think Axis and Allies was under the Wizards of the Coast banner. There was this war game company that was shoved in with Magic the Gathering. Now they're just with Wizards of the Coast. Now, it wasn't West End Games. It was like Atlas Games or some weird name. And it had Axis and Allies, which is a big, very historical board game. But here's the thing. Now, all Wizards of the Coast does is Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons. Two highly successful products, okay? But I will tell you right now, they are not equally successful. Dungeons & Dragons came out in 1974 and has struggled financially multiple times in its history. It struggled until 1997 when it was acquired by Dungeons & Dragons. Wizards of the Coast only held it for 2 years before they sold it to Hasbro in 1999. Okay? Since then, from 1999 till 2021, right? Dungeons & Dragons should have been successfully safe. It still wasn't, because Wizards of the Coast did 4th edition, which almost destroyed the entire brand and allowed Paizo, for the briefest of moments, to outsell Dungeons & Dragons with Pathfinder, okay? So money is a big, big deal here. Now, get this. It doesn't matter if Dungeons & Dragons struggles, and the reason why is its big brother, right? Magic the Gathering is still gonna earn, okay? So Magic the Gathering is a cash cow. It invented collectible card games. Magic the Gathering was the first collectible card game, and it's exactly like Dungeons & Dragons. Magic the Gathering is the CCG. The CCG. Nothing even comes close. Magic the Gathering dominates the CCG market exactly the same way D&D dominates the tabletop role-playing game market. And the reality is, it's so strong that actually MTG's dominance over the CCG area is actually more profound than is actually a deeper dominance than D&D even dominates the entire TTRPG industry. Okay, so these are two big winners, right? And so my point is, if you don't care, if you're a D&D player and you don't care about Magic the Gathering, you only don't care out of ignorance. You've taken the ability, and you're right, you've taken your ability to ignore Magic the Gathering, but the reality is, Dungeons & Dragons is an incredibly safe brand. And the reason why is it can do a whole bunch of nonsense, and it can focus on things that aren't, people aren't going to buy your books if you do this. Wizards of the Coast don't care if you buy their books. They got bigger fish to fry. One, they got a multi-billion-dollar movie. They have the possibilities of making billions of dollars on a movie franchise that's coming up, right? In addition to that, if D&D hardback books don't sell, who cares? There's tons of money in the D&D name. You can get D&D merch. You can get much bigger than that. I was on a call today with in a professional environment, and somebody's like, "Oh, I love Dungeons and Dragons. I can't wait for Dark Alliance." Right? So even if the books aren't selling, you're still going to sell video games, right? So the brand is very, very safe, and it has the safety of MTG, because even Wizards of the Coast, even if D&D has a bad year, they're still going to be buffered by the MTG, which is really helpful. Now, this new set that's coming up, this is a big freaking deal, all right? Now, first of all, I think this could be one of the best-selling Magic the Gathering sets ever. Why? Why is this going to be one of the best-selling sets that ever gets created, right, for Magic the Gathering? Well, it's makes it a crossover collectible. I can't tell you how incredibly important that is, right? And in order to understand a crossover collectible and why they're so incredibly valuable, we need to talk about Transformers. So you know Optimus Prime, right? Well, Optimus Prime's enemy is Megatron, one of the top Transformers collectibles. The most sought-after Transformers collectible is the Megatron collectible from the 80s. Why is it so valuable? Because it's a crossover collectible. Anybody who liked Transformers is going to want it. Anybody who likes Saturday morning cartoons is going to want it. Anybody who likes robots is going to want it, right? Gets weirder, all right? So anybody who has 80s nostalgia is going to want it, okay? Here we go. Megatron was a robot who, in his first editions, transformed into a tool that is sold to, that America has lots of, that uses magazines and is a projectile thrower, okay? So basically Megatron transformed into a 3-letter word that has magazines and throws projectiles, right? Look, it's close I'm going to say it, right? And so anybody who's into that culture, and there's a lot of people, right, is going to want it too, right? So there's lots, so you don't have to be a Transformer fan to want a Megatron. You could just be a Saturday morning cartoon fan. You could just be an 80s nostalgia fan. You could just be a projectile thrower fan, period, okay? And so that, and the thing is, when you have all those different groups coming to get that item, makes the price go up, okay? Now, here's the thing. I said that there's a head-on collision that's about to happen between Magic the Gathering and between Dungeons and Dragons in this set. That's true, okay? Now, just so you're aware, there have been a lot of glances between, glancing strikes between Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons for a while, right? They haven't been completely separate, right? So, one, there are already Dungeons and Dragons cards out there. Not many, just a very, very small few, okay? But these two, and here's the thing. We already have Magic the Gathering up in our MTG, okay? We have that crap Theros book, and we have that crap Ravnica book. Nobody wanted these. The only person that wanted these books were some suit who's like, hey, we own Dungeons and Dragons, we own Magic the Gathering. We spend all this money telling nerds to write up these fantasy worlds, and we spend all this money for art. Can't you guys just turn this fantasy world that we already made for Magic the Gathering into a setting for D&D? And then, Michael Merles goes, yes, I can do that, right? Like, and they did it, right? But and the thing is, they've done it twice, and trust me, nobody's asking, no one is like, where's Zendikar? Like, nobody cares, right? Like, D&D players do not give two rats about MTG worlds, right? But get this. Woo, boy. I will tell you right now, I think Magic the Gathering players are going to very much dig the D&D world. And here's why. It's better than anything that's ever been in their game, right? They have these jank, crusty, horrible fantasy worlds that aren't even as good as the D&D worlds, right? And the reason why is they're like, well, we can't just copy we can't just copy J.R.R. Tolkien's work. Well, Gary Gygax did, and he got away with it in 74, and there's a rich tradition of copying Tolkien's work in Magic, in Dungeons & Dragons. And all of these, like, changed up fantasy worlds for Magic suck. They are bad. They are not good, right? But Forgotten Realms is not terrible. It's going to be pretty good, and it's going to be better than anything those Magic Gathering people have seen, right? Also, you know what Magic Gathering players really like? They like valuable cards. You know how these cards are going to go through the roof? I'm telling you right now, I'm predicting, just my 2 cents, just my opinion, but I am predicting that these cards are going to go up in the value. And here's why I think that's going to be cared. Is, first of all, they're going to be pursued by Magic the Gathering players because they're the next set. Second, they're going to be played by D&D players. I'm a D&D player. I want the Drizzt Do'Urden card, right? I want the Loth card. I want the Dwarf cards. I want to see all these. I want to see the conversion of my favorite Dungeons & Dragons world into a Magic the Gathering world. I want that, right? So you got MTG fans chasing them. You got D&D fans chasing them. And guess what? Because this is a Forgotten Realms world, this contains Drizzt Do'Urden, right? My son is not a D&D fan. He doesn't play D&D, okay? He does not play Magic the Gathering either. He's like my grown son. He's like actually like working age. He just left college a couple years ago, right? But he loves Drizzt Do'Urden. Why and how? He reads the novels, right? He is a fantasy reader. And there's a lot of Drizzt Do'Urden fans who are just simply, fans of the fiction, right? So you're going to have Drizzt Do'Urden fans coming in who are not Dungeons & Dragons fans. It's 3 different groups all going after the same card. That's the first time it's ever happened in Magic the Gathering, right? They've never had a crossover that anybody cared about, right? It's always been Magic the Gathering in a Magic Gathering world. Magic Gathering world sucks, right? But the D&D world is pretty dope. It's been built for like 35 years since Ed Greenwood's. He poured his blood, sweat, and tears into it. It's pretty awesome, and it's going to be better than any world they've ever seen, right? And I'll tell you right now, here's the other thing. Magic the Gathering has brought their nonsense worlds into our game, right? I don't know if you know this. I already mentioned Theros, and I already mentioned the other Ravnica. Just so you're aware, they actually did a whole bunch of modules. They already did a Zendikar module. They did like some kind of nonsense dinosaur world for Magic Gathering. And D&D people are like, we don't care about this. We don't want your magic crap, right? Like, we already have our own worlds. We don't need this, right? But it's not. But I think it's not going to be that way when Dungeons & Dragons shows up in the Magic the Gathering world. First of all, it's going to be better than what they already have. Second, I really think that there is a high probability that Magic the Gathering players who are already into complex systems are going to go try D&D, right? And I think they'll like it. So I think there's a much, much, much better chance that we'll get a good flow of Magic the Gathering players coming to us than there ever was of Dungeons & Dragons player going, oh, I love your crap, MTG world. That never happened. But it's not going to be the same. We actually have something to offer. So Dungeons & Dragons has something to offer the MTG world. And so this head-on collision, right? There's 2 kinds of head-on collisions. There's 2 cars colliding together, and there's tears and flames everywhere, right? But there's also the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, okay? So the peanut butter comes in, the chocolate comes in, and they collide head-on. And I think that's the kind of collision we're going to see with this Magic the Gathering. With the Magic the Gathering, Adventures in Forgotten Realm, I think this is going to be spectacular. I think the value of the cards are going to go through the freaking roof, right? And also, I think here's the other one. When they're done with this set, here's the other thing. If the Magic the Gathering, if the Dungeons & Dragons if the Magic the Gathering Adventures in Forgotten Realms does well, we could see Magic the Gathering Dragonlance. We could see Magic the Gathering Dark Sun. We could see Magic the Gathering Spelljammer, right? They may never return to their nonsense MTG fantasy worlds, which were never any good anyway, right? And we might actually be able to uncork the Magic the Gathering, we might be able to uncork this Magic the Gathering flow, right? And so while they kept trying to shove the MTG stuff down our D&D throats, right? At this point, D&D is going to be smothered. It's going to be lathered on to the MTG people, and I think it's going to work. I think we have a lot more to offer them than they ever had to offer us, and I think together this might be a pretty amazing set. And the reality is, I'll tell you right now, I'm getting ready. So like, I got a little bit of coin, and I'm planning on getting some for myself just to enjoy it, rub on my face, and I'm planning to buy a few boxes, just put them in a shelf, because I think they ain't gonna do nothing but go up. Right, that's just for me. Don't make any financial decisions based on what I'm saying, right? But I definitely think, just from a fun perspective, I think these will go up, and when they do go up, I definitely think that's going to help Dungeons & Dragons. It's nothing but good for Dungeons & Dragons and for MTG. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.